Last week, Dave Aranda and Baylor made the announcement that Matthew Powledge, who was there in that 12-2 season, the 2-7 season, safeties and special teams coach, went to Oregon, co-defensive coordinator, was going to be Baylor's new defensive coordinator. I asked Coach Palich to give me a name or two or four of the mentors in his career as a coach, and one of them, Bradley Dale Peveto, who's now the defensive coordinator at UTEP. And, of course, he was a mentor of Matthew Powledge at Kentucky and also Northwestern Louisiana. He joins us on 365 Sports with Paul, David, and Craig. Coach, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Happy New Year. Did you happen to just watch Tulane and USC? I just got to ask you that first.
You know what? I was on the treadmill watching that game, and I was just glad y'all didn't have me on at 3:45.
Well, honestly, we were too. We were too. Yeah.
Well, what an incredible game. I mean, has there been some incredible bowl games or what?
Yeah, there have been. Incredible semifinal games and the bowl games. So you knew Matthew Powledge a few years back when he was younger. He's a 35-year-old, going to be the defensive coordinator with Dave Aranda at Baylor. When I mentioned Matthew Powledge to you, what was your initial reaction? What's your reaction when you hear his name?
Well, you know, Matthew, and we call him Pow, when he came to work for us at Northwestern State, he had been a one-year coach, and I knew right then he was headed to the top. I mean, he had everything it took to be a great football coach, on and off the field, and I knew he was headed for greatness. And then at the end of that season, I ended up going to Kentucky with Mark Stoops to coach the safeties and coordinate the special teams. And he said I could bring one guy with me and as an analyst. And, of course, it was a no-brainer. I asked Matt Powledge to go with me, and he did. And, you know, he's a great football coach. You know, I got a call one time from a coach. It was Matt Viator from ULM. He calls me and says, what a great job you did training me. I said, wait a minute, Matt, you got that wrong. I said, he trained me. And, but that's how much I think of him. He, you know, I knew when he was young, he was headed for greatness. You know, and no way am I surprised at where he's at 35. He's exactly where I thought he would be. You know, he's a great football mind. He's a man of great character. He's a great recruiter. He understands, you know, the ins and outs of the game. He's really, really special, and he'll do a great job at Baylor, and he'll move on after that. I mean, he is headed.
Oh, we lost him. We'll try to get reconnected with Coach Peveto in a moment. How about the note, Craig, that when he took the job to go to Kentucky, he was told he could take one guy with him, bring one guy with him, and Coach Powledge was his answer. He's back with us, Coach Peveto now with us on 365 Sports. I'm sorry, go ahead and finish what you were saying, Coach.
No, I knew from a young age with him, when I was with him for 2 years, I knew Matt Powledge was headed for greatness, and nothing he has done has surprised me. I knew it was coming. In fact, he ain't done yet. You know what I'm saying? He'll do great things at Baylor. He'll be a major head coach one day. That's how much I think of him, and those are the things I saw in him. You know, when those guys, when you work with them and they're young, and you know, you can tell real quickly the ones that are headed for greatness, and there was no doubt he was a shoe-in for that to happen. And nothing surprises me about where Matt Powledge is at his career. And he's not only a great coach, he's a great recruiter, he's a great human being, and he understands loyalty. He's a guy that's way ahead of his age. He understands loyalty. He understands commitment. He understands work ethic. He is a special young man, and Baylor just got better.
Well, he is
Thank you, Gary. He's picked up a lot of knowledge from your really good defensive minds. You, Mark Stoops, Dave Aranda, Dan Lanning in the last year. What did you see with him when he is, absorbing from those people before him, the coaches ahead of him, and learning those things from guys who really do know that side of the ball well?
A lot of the good young ones, in my opinion, they pick up on it and they learn it, and they have a knack for it. They have an instinct for it. And that was always Matt Powledge with me. He was one of those guys, once he saw it, once he learned it, he knew it, and then everything grew legs with him from there. And, he just has a great football mind. Like I said, people get so caught up in how many years as a guy coached. It don't matter how many years you coach. It matters how you learn, how you process, how you study the game, how you absorb knowledge. And that guy is one of the sharpest, smartest guys I've ever worked with at any age. And he was that way when he was young. You know what I'm saying? He knew things that guys coaching 20 years couldn't tell you and didn't know. He's that kind of mind. He's a fantastic football mind, but what he has is incredible work ethic, incredible character, incredible loyalty. Just one of my all-time favorites, and he'll be a Baylor favorite. And like I said, he is really, really special mentally, as far as understanding the game of football, knowing the game. He's one of the great minds, not young minds. He's one of the great minds in the game today. I've spent a lot of time with him, as he's grown in the business. And, he'll knock your socks off when you sit and talk S&Os with him. He's very, very special and headed for greatness. And like I said, Dave Aranda knew it when he had him, or he wouldn't have brought him back. He's really, really special and one of the great minds in the business. There's no doubt about it. I don't even say I leave young minds out of it because he's a great football mind, period. Age has nothing to do with it.
Coach, you've been in a lot of different places, got a lot of experience over the years. Coach Powledge is coming off his first year as a co-defensive coordinator. He'll be an outright defensive coordinator back here in Waco. But for you, what was that first taste of being a full-blown coordinator? What was that like, the experience, and how valuable was, you think that last year in Oregon, having a little taste of that?
Well, he was with, he's been with some great people, and I think Dan Lanning's one of the great defensive minds. The guy that he was co-coordinator with out there is a great mind, been around. Those guys have been around the block. It gave him a chance to work with them. He'd been with Dan before. I think every stop you make, and Matt Powledge has been, again, with some really, really good football minds, every stop he's made. Patrick Toney, Ron Roberts, Mark Stoops, you can just keep naming them, they're out there. And in my opinion, he is ready to go. He's absorbed he's taken all the great things from these guys, and he's going to collectively use the good of all of them, and then he'll be his own man. He's really good at that. He knows who he is. He'll coach to his style. He'll come in there. The one thing about him, he'll be Matt Powledge. You don't have to worry about him trying to be somebody he's not. He'll do it his way, Dave's way. But he, I promise you, he is very, very special. And Baylor, again, I can't say it enough, just got better with that hire. He is up and coming rock star.
Coach Peveto, I hope you don't mind that, but he shared this with me. Coach Powledge said when he joined you, and you were at the head coach at Northwestern Louisiana, Northwestern State, the Demons, and he was an assistant. Yes, he was listed as a full-time coach, but really was restricted earnings position. How did he get? Tell me how you took care of him.
Well, you want to know the truth?
Yes, sir.
Well, we had a nice spot. We really couldn't afford to fund it, but we could have a full-time spot, a guy that came in with restrictive earnings that could be a full-time coach. And he was our running back coach and was very, very instrumental in our special teams as well. And I wrote him $1,000 check once a month out of my own checkbook.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he told you that to ask me that, I guess. But that's how much I thought of him. That's how much I felt like we needed him. That's how important he was, And, it was funny because he came highly recommended, and I called and talked to him on the phone, and I didn't even interview him. I said, "You got the job." I said, "Come on, we got an opening. I'll figure out how we're going to pay you. It'll be $1,000 a month. We can feed you 21. You need on a training table for 21 meals a week. We'll figure out your housing. We'll get that worked out. Come on, you got the job." And he took it on those terms.
Yeah, he mentioned that to me as a compliment to you, and obviously how much he's admired you from the beginning, and said he's forever grateful for that. And we'll get Matthew on, Coach Powledge, on at some point this week. But I thought that was an incredible story about you, as much as also your respect for him.
Well, I needed him, and we didn't. Sometimes some of those jobs are tough, and we didn't actually have the money to pay it. And I said, "Come on, I need you. I want you. You've exceeded your all the great things everybody said about you in this conversation. Come on, you got the job." And he did. He trusted me. That was the thing that meant a lot to me. He just took it basically on blind trust. And then, like I said, we went to Kentucky and worked together there for 1 year, and he was monumental. We were very, very successful that year in what we did on special teams, and he was very monumental in those efforts and helping me. And he's way above his years. One of the sharpest minds in our game today is Matt Powledge, and he'll prove it at Baylor. I mean, like I said, Baylor just got better, not only with his coaching mind and what he'll bring to the table from an X&O standpoint, but from a loyalty and a loving, caring. I mean, the kids will slit their wrists for Matt Powledge, and he'll be a great staff guy. I just can't say. I mean, you win on all fronts with him. I mean, sometimes you get a guy in that's a good X&O guy. He's not a great recruiter. He's a great X&O guy. He's a great recruiter, but he's not really a great staff guy. Man, he checks all the boxes. I mean, he is an incredible human being, incredible person. That staff will be bonded just with him walking in there. Not that they're already not, but that'll be important to him. The loyalty, the bond, his loyalty to Dave Aranda and everybody on that staff, and to get those kids playing with their hair on fire. He'll do that too. Not that they already don't, because I think Ron Roberts did a great job there as well. Coordinating, but Matt Powledge will come in and they'll play with the hair on fire for him, and a lot of special things will happen.
Coach, how important is it in today's college football? You mentioned, kind of being a three-tool player as a coach there, having all the boxes checked, where you can have a great X&O guy, but if he can't recruit, you can't really hide that on the staff anymore, because you are recruiting 365 days of the year, not only out in high schools, but your own staff, your own roster.
Well, that's a great point you make right there, because I think you look around and there's some guys that get hired for certain things, and I guess we all have our weaknesses as human beings. We all have our weaknesses. I know I do, and I always like my weakness, somebody to play off my weaknesses. I always like somebody around me that whatever my weaknesses are, they can help counter that, help make those better. Matt Powledge doesn't have a weakness. He really doesn't. I mean, I saw that at a young age. I mean, he has it. And, when you can hire a guy like that checks every box, it's hard to do in our game. I don't think I check every box, and I've coached a long time, but he's one of those guys that has it all. He checks the boxes, and he does it with incredible humility. That's one thing you guys will. Have y'all got to know him at all when he was there the first time?
Yes, sir. We got a chance to interview him a couple of different times. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, his humility is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's just special. And, but, you know, I mean, you're right. It's hard to hide anymore in this business. You used to be able to, but, you know, usually if you have a flaw, it'll show up. But one thing about this guy, Matt Powledge, he doesn't have any. He's something else. I mean, he's just a special guy, and I don't even have enough words. You know, I mean, I'm so proud every time. You know, his moves have happened so fast, and he's so graceful in how he handles it, and you know the way he gives credit away to everybody, and you know he's just done it with such humility. I don't know, it's very touching, you know, and I feel like you know it's fun because. You know, when you're with these guys and they're young, and you know, you want to be a great example for them. You know, let me tell you what I said when I was a young coach, and I looked at other older coaches that didn't work hard. I always said I'm never going to be that guy because I don't want the young coaches coming up in this great game to say, "Look at that guy. He don't do nothing. He don't recruit. He's just throwing a paycheck. He's just waiting for retirement." I said a long time ago, when I get to a point where I can't work as hard as these young bucks, I'm going to retire and go fishing. I'm getting out of the business. So my point is the thing that you will admire about this guy is he is going to crush it with a work ethic, and he's going to crush it with humility. He's going to crush it in recruiting. He's going to crush it leading that defense. And watch those kids. They will play with their hair on fire because he's there. I guarantee you right now, there was a celebration when Dave Aranda announced that Matt Powledge was coming back.
Well, we had Jalen Petrie on last week. He echoed that. Some other players did as well, former players and current players. You mentioned how he can get everyone together, and that's one of the slogans you had, reach him and teach him, is one he loved. But he also said you had this one, which is the art of football. It's the maybe ultimate team sport. There is an amazing power in a group of men who are totally dedicated to one another. Isn't that what the key is in coaching football?
Yes, I think it is. You know why? Because you got to throw all of your personal wants out. You got to throw all of your selfishness out. Because you know what? Deep down, we all, you know, I had a guy tell me one time that we all like to hear that we're good. We all like to have a little credit. I mean, all that feels good. We all like to be patted on the back. You know what I'm saying? And with that said, you know, when you pull everybody together, there has to be a very unselfish element to that to make it all work, because you got 120 guys pulled together. And you know what? If you're the defensive coordinator, you can help pull it all together, because it's how you act when the special teams is out there and how you talk to your defensive players about, hey, if you don't play on special, in other words, what I know Matt Palich is going to tell him, because this was one of our sayings, hey, I'll rest you on defense before I rest you on special teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So in other words, when those kids know that you got the offensive coordinators back, you got the head coaches back, you got the special teams coordinators back, you got every assistant on defense, you got their back, then there's no chink in the armor, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. If you go into those meetings and you're running down the special teams guy, or you're making comments about the head coach, hey, in other words, hey, saying something like, well, we're doing it this way, but it really wasn't my call. Well, you know, you've just put a chink in the armor. And and sometimes to be that kind of guy, you got to be unselfish, because a lot of times you got to put the heat on you to cover up other spots. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Sometimes you got to take blame maybe that you don't need to take to keep from being unselfish. And sometimes as a human being, that's hard to do. But when you look at that saying that Matt's talking about, that's what it's saying. You got to be totally dedicated to each other. And a lot of times that's through the bad times. You know, I mean, in the game of football, it comes down to how good you can be when times are hard. You got to be at your best when it doesn't go good. And that's what Matt Powledge will be great at. He'll be great at making things good when times are bad. And, you know, that's hard to do because it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of unselfishness to be that kind of guy. Not everybody can do it. You look at pro football, college football, you look at some of the body language on sidelines with people, it's hard to do, you know. And one saying we got, we don't like palms up. You know what palms up means? So just make a mistake. Now, as y'all are sitting there, just turn your palms up. You know what I'm saying? Man, that's bad body language. You know what I'm saying? And Matt Powledge will coach body language, I promise you. He'll coach all the little details of what that saying means and being unselfish and being the right kind of team player, being the right teammate. You know what? If you're not coaching it, you're letting it happen. And Matt Powledge will coach all those details. And that's hard to do. There's a lot of great coaches that don't do that. He will do that. He will do all those little things that it takes to make those kids hit on all cylinders.
I have to brag on you a little bit, and Coach, we appreciate your time, and I know you're on your way getting home, but Trinity Valley in '87, I know how great they were at football. You went and helped Lynn Graves get to a national championship game in '89 with Larry Centers and company at SFA. You were on that LSU team, Matt Flynn, who we knew when he played high school football in Tyler, won a national title the year after Jamarcus Russell left. Man, you've got some notches on the belt, don't you? A lot of skins in the wall.
Well, you know, I've been very fortunate, guys. I've been blessed to have been around some really great coaches and some really great people that groomed me when I was young. I've had a blessed career, man. I tell you, you know, when I get calls from ex-players and even opportunities like this where a young man like Matt Powledge puts me in this situation, it puts a tear on my cheek because these kind of opportunities are hard to earn, you know, and it makes you feel good when somebody like you guys reach out and say, hey, a guy asked you to do this or recommended you. I mean, it puts me on cloud nine, and I turned 60 just a few days ago, and you know what? This feeling never gets old, but I take a lot of pride in young men like Matt Powledge thinking that much of me and you guys having me on your show. But I've been very blessed my whole career to be with some really fine people that groomed me and gave me a chance. And you know what? Gave me a lot of second chances too.
Coach Peveto, it's a pleasure to have you on. We appreciate all the stories, the background, the insight on Matthew Powledge. Good luck with UTEP going forward, and thanks for your time today, and Happy New Year.
Hey, guys, thank y'all. Happy New Year's, and thank you for your time. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
That's Bradley Dale Peveto, UTEP Defensive Coordinator.